Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
We're back with the 11-year-old podcast.
What up? What up?
What up, everybody? How are we all doing?
We're
today?
not late today. You're late today.
For once, I was not late.
You were on time.
I was early.
Very late. That's my fault, though.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
We got a special guest with us today.
Special.
You want to introduce yourself, Joe? You want me to?
Hello.
This is a great cousin of mine. I don't know how we're really related, but we are. Allegedly.
We're our mother's side.
Yeah, your mother. My mother? Our mother.
Our mothers.
Our mothers. Yes, sure. I think it's all through marriage, honestly. I'm not really sure. But this is my cousin, Joseph Beck.
Joseph Beck.
Joseph Beck. Tell us about yourself, Joe. What do you like to do?
So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think I wanted to come on here and just speak a little bit about a topic that is not really spoken about too much, and it's just a topic of addiction and recovery.
Okay.
Why do you think it's not really talked about much?
Well, there's a stigma associated with it.
Okay.
I think as society, and it's getting better, the stigma, I think it's getting lifted, but it is still there.
When you say stigma, what do you mean?
Well, a friend of mine says, when you think about the alcoholic, you think about the guy with the brown paper bag.
Right. That stereotype. Yeah.
The guy under the bridge. And I have a friend that says, addiction does not discriminate. It affects everyone from Yale to jail, Park Ave to the park bench. It really has no picks.
No, I agree. So, how do you think it starts? Is it something that you kind of adapt or develop as a child, or from your parents, or is it something that you can just pick up at any point in time in your life?
Well, I mean, I guess they say there could be, they did studies on the addiction gene.
Right. Yeah, I've always heard that it's a disease. Right. So, I mean, I always questioned what that meant or how true that fact is, or if it was some kind of coping mechanism.
Right. Well, there could be there's definitely there could be a genetic disposition to it, but I believe it's more environmental.
Okay, so basically just where you grow up, what you grow up around,
right?
Yeah, or what you're living around. Right. So I mean,
I don't believe it's a choice. There is that debate: is it a disease? Is it a choice? I don't believe I made the choice to one day just run my life into the ground. I did not decide that it was a good day to destroy my life.
Right, but in the argument sense, you did choose to do it, right? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not you chose not to stop it from happening.
So what about the person, what would you say to the person that gets has a back injury and they get prescribed Percocet,
right.
And they by a doctor.
Grow an addiction to it and
physical
stuff like that.
dependence, right?
Yeah. Now, is that the doctor's fault? Do you think?
Oh, our healthcare system is
a little shot out, right? Yeah.
Right.
They'll just some of them will throw pills at anybody just to shut them up, and some of them won't prescribe people because of they just feel like they're being they're addicts, or they're gonna just abuse it and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I feel needs a better. You need a better way to determine how much or what's the proper procedure.
Well, Big Pharma, yeah. Look, Purdue, they're getting sued. I mean, they prescribed them OxyContin, and it was basically synthetic heroin.
Oh, really?
That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's just it's crazy.
Do you think drugs come in play in a household that a person will use it as a crutch, that's why initially, if there's something missing from their life, or some kind of structure or some kind of dependent is missing in that person's life, do you think that's when they fall on drugs or anything like that?
Of course, yeah. So for myself, I grew up in a loving family. I don't come from a broken home. I was taught love. I was taught how to love. Like John said before, it can be a coping mechanism. It can be something to escape reality.
Right. No, for sure. I agree with that.
Yeah. Because, I grew up in what would be described as a broken home. My parents weren't together. They were always fighting. My dad was big into drugs when I was young. My mom was big into drugs later on. And, I just have no ambition or no drive to ever try drugs or want to do drugs. And I don't know if it's because I saw what it does to people and that really made me want to not do it, or if it's if it's just like like you said, if there's just like a gene in certain people's bodies where they want to try something, you know what I mean?
That's why it's interesting to me too, because I'm the same way. You know, I mean, I didn't really grow up in a broken home, but as I got older, family started falling apart. But a lot of my family coped with drugs, and I didn't.
Right.
You know, I just had no ambition. I had no urge. Never like, there's my answer. I was never like, that's what I need. You know,
Right.
I was never like that.
Yeah, and same thing even with like marijuana and stuff like that. Like nowadays, like everyone like uses it just to relax and like
to
get
cope.
through and stuff like that. And I just like, I don't know. I just fucking deal with everything.
And that's a whole nother topic. Them legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
You know, it does have medical benefits. But,
Oh, for sure.
I agree.
But now there's no fact or no evidence supporting medical marijuana treating opiate addiction.
Right.
And
Okay.
now people are using that as a crutch. Somebody had mentioned before that I'm on parole or probation. I can legally smoke marijuana, and I think they're doing themselves a disservice.
My biggest issue with the whole legalizing it is all the people that did time and like lost years of their life over, it before that, and now all of a sudden it's legal. Like it's just like they don't get any restitution or anything back from that. Like they're like, oh, you were selling weed or you were caught with so much weed and you did like 2 years, but now it's legal, so it's cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just never understood like how they could just change the law that like has upset so many people's lives. And
Yeah, I had a really good friend that all he did was smoke weed,
Mhm.
and then he was young, like 18 years old, and he wound up getting, him and his buddies went on a ride to buy like a significant amount,
Yeah.
and it just happened to be in his backpack, and they got pulled over for a taillight, and then they searched him,
Mhm.
and he had it, and everyone said they had no idea, so he got hit with all of it,
Right.
and then he went to like colors and probation and all that stuff, but during that he still wanted to smoke weed, but he couldn't. So what did he do? He smoked spice because he wouldn't come up in a drug test, and that fucked him up for a long. He went to prison because he wound up being high on spice and beating the shit out of someone so bad that he went to prison for it. And
Yeah. And you had to really like sit there and like, was it just like now that it's legal, like would it have
Right.
changed like his
Right.
whole life?
it would have. Yeah.
It's just
I agree. I think
yeah.
it really would have.
It's insane.
Crazy.
So Joe, what are you doing? I know you do a lot of stuff in the community to help people like straighten their lives out and stuff like that. So what do you do?
So I belong to a 12-step fellowship.
Okay.
In our traditions, it's anonymity is important. People choose to be anonymous. That just means I can't go into a meeting and see you and say, oh, I seen John at a meeting.
Right.
Now, I can tell you that I belong to this fellowship.
Right.
I can't break my own anonymity. I choose to not be anonymous
Right.
because, again, I think addiction is the best kept secret in the house. I think people are scared to talk about it. It's not a moral failure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a moral failure.
Mm-hmm.
My life growing up, my father and mother didn't suffer with this
Right.
addiction. They didn't. I don't know. I was seeking relief from pain
From pain.
at a very young age. My sister was killed, and by a doctor, and I was lonely.
Yeah.
I was really lonely in this world, and I was seeking relief, and I found it.
Yeah.
I found it in the streets. And the thing about addiction, it's progressive.
Yeah.
And it's fatal. I did not envision myself because I've seen it in my family. I've seen cousins, uncles, my extended family. I've seen it, and I never said, I would never do that. But
Yeah. You get to that point.
yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think causes the gradual like going
Tolerance.
through drugs?
Tolerance.
Tolerance,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So like if you you smoke weed for a while, like eventually it's just
Stops working.
It stops working,
Yeah.
and then you need to like bump it up and do something different. I got you.
I had a really close family member dabble with some pretty serious drugs, and after some pretty bad things happened, I kind of like went in like a learning binge where I just wanted to learn about the drug and like learn about it. And what I learned was like they're always chasing that first initial time, that first feeling, that first positive feeling that they felt from it. But the more you do it, the less positive feeling you get from it, and then it kind of just spirals out of control.
Right. Yeah, I
Just
do you,
scary.
now do you work with just strictly like drug users, or do you do alcoholics too?
So I belong to a fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Okay, so
Alcoholism, like, I think what I'm using or what I'm drinking is just a symptom
mhm.
of my problem. My problem exists up here in my head.
Right.
So yeah, I work with gamblers. I work with people
Okay,
that-
so it's any kind of addiction almost. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if they like separate it like based on what the addiction is and who could help that kind of person, or
right.
if the addiction like was just like a generic thing, and then if you're addicted to fucking anything, you can just come there and try to get help.
Yeah, we spoke about that before. Overeaters.
Over. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I never really in my head that never really like clicks as in like an addiction, I guess. But I guess I guess you could get addicted to anything, right? You can get addicted to video games, like anything.
Tattoos.
Tattoos. You can
Yeah.
get addicted to tattoos. Listen, that's what we in the business call cha-ching. Okay, people that get addicted to tattoos, like that's
therapy.
yeah. We'll like let them believe they're helping themselves all they want, and
I mean, the
We'll
scary
make that
part about
money.
that is, though, I'm sure like actual drug dealers think the same way about their clients.
oh, probably
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like they don't care. They're
Yeah,
making
like
money.
I know this person's gonna cop this much, this
Right.
week,
Right.
because he does it every week. So
Right.
like,
So they're like,
Now,
that's
would you call that a form of addiction?
could be.
Addicted to money?
I
Or
think
addicted-
anything
Oh
could be.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can definitely
anything
be
could be.
addicted to money. I don't know if that's as bad as like the other addictions, depending on like what you're willing to do to get that money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, usually you're scrounging for money to feed your addiction. It's not you're usually not addicted to money.
Right.
I mean, you could be.
Yeah, I think that's just called being Jewish, right?
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
Can you even say that?
I can say that.
Are you
I can
sure?
say
On
whatever the
here?
fuck I want.
Okay.
It's my podcast.
All right. This was a good episode. Just kidding.
You want to hear a joke?
No, I don't. We'll keep it till after.
So we don't do jokes?
Oh, we can do
we
jokes.
can do jokes. Yeah.
But he knows it was going
Yeah.
to be a Jewish joke.
Yeah.
They're not allowed?
No, we don't allow Jewish jokes here.
You just made one.
That's true.
So
Do you have a good one?
I do.
Oh, I'm here for it.
So the Jewish kid asked his father for $100.
Okay.
He said, Dad, can I get $100? The dad said, $50. What the hell are you going to do with $20?
That wasn't too bad.
no, that wasn't bad.
Mine had like Hitler involved.
But yeah, I knew it. It's probably ovens and shit.
Is this thing on?
no ovens. It was just something I seen. It was like Hitler was like really bad with money,
Mhm.
and
So we're going there, right?
Yeah. I mean,
guess
why not? We're
okay,
here.
all right,
We're
we
here.
go.
We already passed the
All
threshold.
right.
It'd be it's a shame that there wasn't like a group of people that could have helped him with that.
All right. So
Go ahead.
no,
Go
you
ahead.
go for it.
No, go.
No,
go.
no.
Keep
no,
it going.
So I don't know how much you want to talk about. You can obviously talk about as much as you want to talk about with your own personal struggle with addiction and stuff like that. But I think sometimes it's good for, other people who are struggling with addiction to hear other people's stories. So is there any kind of story or any kind of anything that you'd want to talk about with your, with your experience with anything?
So yeah, I believe, I do believe my past is my greatest asset.
Okay.
When I speak at treatment centers and I speak to people that may be struggling, I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide, because, I don't have any guilt and shame about my past.
Right.
I'm responsible for what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
So all right. So I'll hit you with some, good questions for you. Where did your addiction start? Like what, when, and where? Like how young?
So it's funny how where
Because
I'm
I can remember like when we were like teenagers,
right.
and like you and your brother and stuff like that, like smoking weed. Like I wouldn't say that's where it started, right?
No, it's funny where I'm at today. After 3 days ago, I just celebrated 5 years.
Right,
clean
right, yeah.
sober.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's
and,
awesome.
It's funny how my ego. You know what the ego is? Like the ego has one purpose. For people, especially people in recovery, because we're prideful, we're ego-driven people,
Right.
With substance and alcohol use disorders, and the ego is just the only purpose it wants to make me feel separate from you. It wants me to either feel less than you or better than you.
Right.
And the fact is, no, I'm not superhuman. I'm not subhuman. I'm just human.
Yeah.
So after just celebrating 5 years, something that when I was alone and dark and at the end of my road that I could not even fathom 5 years sober. But now that I'm here, oh, that's not good enough. You can't tell people you're only 5 years sober.
Yeah.
You can't tell people that. What are they going to think of you?
I mean, a lot of people would think of you as a, courageous person. Like
Yeah.
that's hard. That's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
If I mean, when you look at you who's 5 years sober, you come from the person that's 5 days sober. Like they're gonna look at you like, how did you get there? Like that seems impossible.
But the same way he would look at someone who's 10 years sober.
Right.
It's all the same.
Yeah. So I mean, you're always gonna have that that person that goal that you're looking up at, and then that achievement that you're looking down at. So.
And that's why it's important to. There's that slogan, just for today.
Mhm.
Right?
Okay.
Like in recovery, they say like all we have is today.
Right.
You know what I did yesterday to keep me sober is not going to work for today.
Right.
So I have a daily reprieve contingent upon what I'm doing that day. But yeah, it's funny again looking back on hindsight. Now I can tell you the things that led me into my addiction
Mhm.
after doing some moral inventory of myself, finding out these fears and these insecurities. And because on the outside I looked good, right? I had friends, I had people that wanted to hang out at my house. Things were good,
Right.
but I had such a fear of not being good enough that if you were using, I was going to use with you.
I got you.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think that's like another thing too is, especially at a young age, you get into that group of friends, and even especially if you don't have many friends, that group is doing whatever you're
You're
gonna
just
wanna,
gonna-
you're gonna
one
want to
day-
do
yeah,
that.
I'm a
Yeah.
chameleon.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. A lot of people, but that's like the interesting thing is what differs people, like what is different that people who don't have to, like they don't need that
Don't
to,
feel
to
that,
fit in.
Yeah. Don't feel that need
Right,
to
then
fit
the
in with
people who
stuff
like need,
that.
because I had friends that they lost battles because of that. They'd rather hang out with those kids doing that and do that instead of like skateboard or go do something else, And I always found that interesting, like what clicks in people's brains that you don't need that, or you do need that, or not need but want,
Right, that validation.
Right.
I saw validation from other people a lot, and it reminds me of this story. This gentleman had 2 kids, and he was like a big time gang member in California, and he got like a life sentence in prison, and he had 2 sons, and they split up at a young age, and CNN or someone interviewed these kids, years later, and the one son was like on Wall Street somewhere,
Like really,
working.
really successful.
really successful, and they interviewed him, and they said like, how did you get here? And he said like, how could I not have
Right.
with my father's history? Like, how could I not have escaped that?
Yeah.
And then the other son was in prison as well, and they went and interviewed him, and they said, how did you get here? And he said, well, how could I not have?
Right.
So it is interesting to.
Yeah.
Like look what like the people that like make those choices to like go one path or the other.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, it could not be a choice. It might just be something like instilled in them that they can't really control.
Yeah, some genetic makeup. Some,
Right.
Yeah.
I know once I put a drink in me, all bets are off.
Right.
I have this phenomenon of craving. It triggers an allergy in me that
Mhm.
I want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not. So you don't drink either, right?
No.
Okay. Don't drink that then. That's vodka. Sorry.
I told John, I don't know if we can say this on the air, but I used to work for John at the carnival, and I had an amends process I have to make. I had to make, and I kind of made somewhat of an amends to John because I worked for him at the carnival. I was running this machine, and I was like pissy drunk as I was running the machine, and that's dangerous, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get a DUI from that.
Oh, you could?
Yeah. Because
That's crazy.
you're transporting people
Right,
and
right,
you're
right.
in control. Yeah. It's
Yeah, you're in-
you get considered what's a DUI.
Well, yeah,
It's-
because their life are in
Right.
your
Your
hands,
life. Yeah.
But it's more than 7 years ago, so I can't get charged for that now.
No, allegedly this happened. This was
Yeah.
this is allegedly.
I'm saying if it did
Yeah,
happen.
if it did
if
happen.
yeah, we don't even know.
Yeah.
We're not even sure. But no, I mean, yeah, it's crazy how people can choose a path or not
Yeah.
choose a path and go and be successful.
Another scary part too is like, especially when you're young, you want that feeling of like acceptance by people.
Right.
And the people that are addicted to drugs, they just want more people to be like them, so they're
Yeah,
not
I mean,
singled
even-
out as.
Yeah, even to this
people.
day, like I mean, people like sit there and try to like really like you're at a party or just hanging out. Even like when I'm hanging out at my sister's house and stuff like that, she'll still like, hey, you want to take a hit of this or
Yeah.
whatever? I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
Like, and
I was just at the skate park last week, and people were like, "Hey, you want this?" I'm like, "No."
no, I don't. No,
And
thank you.
That's how some people's brains operate. So when I was getting sober, you know, I would go to dinner with my wife, and I'd say, well, why don't you have a drink?
Right. Because you can't.
Right. No,
Yeah.
have a drink. Have a drink.
Yeah.
She's like, no, why are you forcing me to drink? Because in my mind, if I'm at dinner,
You
if I'm-
feel like they're obligated
Yeah,
not to
you
drink
have
because of you, right? Yeah.
right, like I don't.
Yeah. You don't want to make
Right.
make people.
But
feel
her
that-
brain is like, no,
Yeah.
I don't
like,
have to drink.
like why would I put something in front of you that like you're trying to fight? You know what I mean? Like, and that's a good like a partner to have. Like, what about like other people in your life? Did you have to like when you were getting sober and when you were working your way like through the steps and stuff like that? Did you have to like excuse people from your life and like not be around certain people that were still like obviously not in support of you?
Well, they told me you only have to change one thing when you're getting sober.
Was yourself.
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. Yeah. So my family is huge Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Go Birds.
Yeah,
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Yeah. You said we were going to touch on football.
We'll get on there. We'll get on there.
So yeah, when I was getting sober, I chose not to go to family events that like the main focal point was alcohol
Right.
because I was
I
uncomfortable.
mean, that's every unfortunately like
Right.
that's most family events around us.
Yeah.
So
Right, and I was uncomfortable, and even still to this day, after 5 years,
yeah.
I can be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that little thought can creep in, like, well,
Yeah, but just a sip.
maybe
like,
you can have
yeah,
one.
like yeah,
You know, you're pretty strong now. You got some things going on.
Yeah.
Maybe you can have one, and that's just a lie
it's yeah.
that my mind tells myself. And if I don't voice that and get honest with my support group, I can start to believe that
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
And that's why you like. I mean, it's smart to just not put yourself in that situation. Like you can't make the wrong choice if you're not there.
Well, I don't have that phenomenon of craving. I don't
Right.
have that obsession and compulsion to use, so I'm just not going to.
Right.
You know, I don't. People say, "Oh, you can't use." I don't like looking at it like that because if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to show you that I can.
Right. You can't give me $10 right
Right.
now.
I don't have $10. I got 5 children, but I don't want to use. I don't have to use. How about that?
Right.
I don't have to use
Yeah.
because when I was using, I had to use.
Yeah.
Despite anyone around me, despite my children, my wife, I had to use.
Right. So to answer the question, did you end up like getting like pushing certain people out of your
Oh,
life?
there was a question.
Yeah. You've avoided like every question without without answering. It's crazy. I
That's
love
pretty
it.
good, right?
Yeah, you're doing great. You're
Questions
not
are questions, you know.
like I still didn't get like the age you started.
Yeah.
So,
Or
yeah,
where.
Or where, yeah.
There was some good
D-
questions.
Yeah,
in there
I
too,
just
Val.
never got answers from them. You touch on good stories
You
and
being
like
a good host, you picked up on not getting them answers. So
Yeah.
yeah, looking back.
I don't know if we're avoiding those answers or what.
But you could be honest if you
Yeah.
really don't want to.
Well, do we have like a code word?
No, it's just like, I mean, I talked to you last night about it. Like, you said you didn't really care, but you said
Right.
you were open book. So,
So again, that feeling of not being good enough. So when I was young, I had a girlfriend that I had
okay.
that was my everything.
Mm-hmm.
She was my reason to exist,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a dangerous position I found myself in because again, I would be a chameleon to what she wanted to do. And,
Right.
after going through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, I found out these things about me. And so it was just insecurities. I started using purely out of insecurities.
That you were gonna lose her. to,
Yeah,
like,
that and that like
she wouldn't like you for like
opiates. I don't know how much you know about opiates,
not much
But
because
if
I
you-
don't feel them.
but if you take them,
Yeah.
you perform at a greater level,
Okay.
like
Okay.
sexually.
Okay.
Oh,
You
okay.
perform at a greater level.
Do you know anyone who sells them?
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
So that's how it started. I
Right.
would take Vicodin,
Mm-hmm.
not even liking him, would throw up, would be sick to my stomach.
Right.
But I felt it made me perform better.
Okay.
So I
Mhm.
liked it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have that problem. I'm just good at what I do. Sorry.
Well, so am I. Obviously, I have 5
Obviously
children.
not.
Well, I thought I wasn't.
Yeah.
That's the
No,
thing.
you're bad at what you do. You have 5 children. You couldn't pull out of a driveway.
I know. And you know the beauty of it? 2 of my children have never seen me drunk or high.
That's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that? Charlie and the baby?
Willow and baby Joey.
Yeah. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Charlie. Oh, Charlie's almost
Year
what?
or 7 now.
7 now. Yeah, yeah.
So,
I can't keep up. You're
I know.
fucking popping them out
I
like.
know. But we're done now. I have 4 girls. I got my little boy. and,
Okay.
so
That's all you wanted.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Greedy bastard.
I know, poor Inez. She's-
Yeah, I know.
every time we turn
It's like a
around,
fucking
she's-
zipper.
But yeah, I don't have a moral failure. I was raised with morals.
Right. But you feel as though like you being so dependent on getting this woman to accept you, like really started making you like want to like whatever she wanted to do, like you were down for it, and that's where everything really
Yeah.
like started. Yeah, that's crazy. See, women are bad. I've tried to tell people this all the time. Women are just horrible creatures. It's not their fault. It's not anything they do, but there's something in our brains that's just like fucked up.
If
and
it's
they're-
got tits or tires, it's going to give you problems.
right, yeah. It's crazy, especially at a young age. It's
Yeah,
it's
for
just
sure.
insane.
And it's funny you brought that up because I would victimize myself. You know, I would blame other people for my actions.
Right.
And that's just not the case.
Right.
You know, if I'm going to give you power over how I behave,
It's your choice. Yeah,
Right.
you're the one making that choice.
Yeah,
So
how-
yeah, in no way were you blaming this, but this is where like your like addiction started. Because like in a sense, you were addicted to her,
Yeah,
and you
codependent.
Yeah, you were codependent on her, and you had to, you would do whatever it took to not lose her.
Now,
Whether-
how long did it take you to realize that, like to realize that that was your problem, like that you?
well, I'm still working.
I know, but to start the process of fixing that problem, you have to have some kind of realization of what that problem is, right? So what finally, what was
That's
it
part of
that-
the steps, right?
yeah.
Right.
Like when you like
Well, pain is the only thing that brings me to my knees.
okay.
And I'm sure we can all, relate to that
Yeah,
pain.
yeah.
So wherever I look, there's pain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, like caused by me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, self-inflicted pain, and when that became evident, every area of my life, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I didn't think that I needed to change. I thought the world wronged me. I thought if she would just do what I thought she should do, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't have no problems. If she just was not promiscuous, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
And that just is not the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would have found a way,
Mhm.
right? Because you would have let it. 'Cause, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like unfortunately that's the personality or the person that you were. Like it would have found a way to.
That's the sickness.
Yeah, I mean, listen, growing up, I'm from North Philadelphia,
Mhm.
Kensington.
Really?
Yeah,
Tell me more.
shocker. 17 years of my life, my addiction didn't progress until I moved to Scranton.
Right. Which is
Yeah.
crazy because
Right.
you would think that the addiction would have been like
Yeah.
progressed in Philly, especially
Yeah.
with like the neighborhood and stuff like that.
I had a friend that started dabbling here and progressed to like Kensington area.
Yeah. Well, that sounds more believable.
Yeah.
Like than like you coming up to a nicer, which once was nicer
Yeah.
area and like, finding, I don't know if they just had better drugs up here or what it was.
Well, and that's me and Josh spoke on that before the podcast because we had a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
I,
quite a
I-
bit
I
of
mean,
time.
when you show up early, that's what's gonna happen. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad
So-
you guys got to know
So
each other.
it was boredom.
Boredom. Yeah.
Boredom.
Okay.
Because and it's kind of embarrassing. I sold drugs my whole entire life from the age of 12. I was 12 years old. I started selling crack cocaine.
Called being an entrepreneur, but go ahead.
Yeah, street pharmacist. I mean, and I'm sitting here blaming big pharma, and
Yeah.
so when I come to Scranton, things are a lot slower. here.
Slower, right?
It was
Yeah.
just slower, and I could not adapt to that. So I was selling drugs, and I kind of, monkeys can't sell bananas, right? So I became like my best customer,
Yeah.
I guess. Having fun. It starts with having fun. Listen, I had a lot of fun using drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
I'm sure.
But again, it progresses, and it my addiction doesn't want to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. It
No,
wants to
'cause-
keep me alive.
Yeah.
And it wants me to suffer, and it
You
wants me to
can't-
be alone.
You can't use if you're not alive. So.
It's crazy.
That's why, like, when people are like, "Oh, I want to get a sleeve and this, and I want to get a back piece," I'm like, "Whoa, slow down, okay? Like, once you're out of room, I can't tattoo you anymore. So we gotta,
Yeah.
ease this process on.
I mean, technically, you can still tattoo them.
I mean, I could tattoo over the tattoos, I
Yeah.
guess. Well, I don't know.
So what is percentage of your body filled with ink? Do you know the percentage or
No, I wouldn't really. I'd say over 50 maybe. Like I'm
100 or over 50% of your body.
I want to say over 50%.
Over 50%.
Cuz I mean, like I don't have like so like what I would call sleeves. Like there's plenty of gaps in between like stuff that I have, but like I have like majority of like my arms are both filled. My chest, my head, back of my head, stuff like
Do
that.
you regret any of them?
A lot of them. What do you mean?
I'm just
Of course I do. Yeah, there's plenty that I regret. It's something that I learned later on being a tattoo artist that like your body is real estate.
Okay, well, this isn't about you. We're talking about Joe here.
Okay, well, he asked me a fucking question.
I don't care. He's the
Just
guest.
Shut your
one
mouth.
question. It was just one.
Yeah, and I'm answering it because I'm not afraid to not answer it. But no, it's like your body's real estate. So like, don't put something small or little stuff in big spots because then you just got to put a bunch of little shit instead of doing like one big thing. And I've made that mistake. And then just don't get stupid shit.
But that's what everyone. I mean, that's what I did.
But
Like, just you make that mistake of you get one tattoo and then you're like, you don't really think about the future.
if you go with your upper arm tattoo, what was that for?
Which one? This
The
one?
very top one.
Fit for a King.
Yeah, Fit for
one
a
of my
King.
favorite bands.
Yeah, right. But like that, just that, like that is you could have did that whole spot.
Mhm.
You did that little bit,
Mhm.
and now you had to figure out what to do
Yeah,
to like you
Exactly.
know what I mean.
I'd
Yeah.
rather have planned my whole arm.
Planning out, yeah. Like I have neck tattoos, and I would fucking love to not have nothing, so I could just do like a huge throat tattoo.
Yeah,
But it is what it
Yeah.
is. You gotta learn from it.
for sure. Okay, back on the important subject.
Drugs, Joe.
Drugs. Kids.
Drugs.
Listen up, kids.
Drugs, kids. So you grew up in Philadelphia.
I did.
You went to Philadelphia schools.
I did.
We had DARE,
I
right?
did.
Yeah,
I
it
did.
didn't
No.
work, right?
No.
Clearly.
I don't think I don't know. Like, it's good to talk about it, but I don't know. I feel like it's good, definitely like good to be like knowledgeable of drugs and stuff like that. But I feel like as a kid and going,
I
through
feel like
there-
they didn't talk about drugs though. Like it was just like
Just
it was.
say no.
It was
Yeah.
just like a generic.
right. They didn't explain. They didn't go into
Yeah, they didn't go into any
They just said
details.
they
like,
didn't say why. They
I
said
couldn't
drugs are
name
bad.
drugs at that
Right.
the age I had to go through DARE. Like I just remember that they like it was just say no or dare to not do drugs.
You
or
learn
whatever.
more from movies than you did in DARE.
Right, exactly. I learned more from fucking look under my parents' mattress. Like
No, for sure.
it's like you know what I mean. It just never really clicked in my head.
For
So
sure.
I felt like they did a shit job.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Is there any programs like that nowadays for like kids? Do you think
There
that you know
is,
of at least? Yeah. 'Cause I mean, my kids are in school, but I don't think they've never came home like, hey, we learned about drugs today. And-
Right. Well, I know Chris Herron. He was a basketball player for the Boston Celtics,
Okay.
and he tells his story. And he comes to he was in Dunmore School.
Oh,
a
okay,
couple of
okay.
years
That's
ago.
pretty cool.
Yeah, we're not Scranton's not as lucky, I guess.
Right. No, we don't do that. But he tells his story to where like he was in Celtics uniform, copping heroin outside of Madison Square Garden, 20 minutes before a game.
Probably
Crazy.
great heroin though.
Well, it didn't do too well for him.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're a pro athlete, I mean,
And
doing
that's the thing, like,
doing drugs isn't like gonna make you any better.
and it doesn't discriminate.
Yeah. Yeah, so like that's what I mean. Like it's just basically it's the richer you are, the better drugs you're gonna buy. So or the more that you can afford. You know what I mean? So yeah,
So
yeah,
what's that mean? Higher tolerance, right? You build a higher tolerance.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, or you die quicker. You know.
Do you think that everyone has a different tolerance, like just in general? Or do you like work at it and get a higher tolerance? I know that's like how it works. Like the more you do, the higher tolerance you get. But I always notice that like some people are like they can like almost seem like they're managing it. Where it's like I know you can never manage being a drug addict, but like you wouldn't for a long time, or if you didn't know, you wouldn't even know.
Right.
But some people are like real sloppy with it, and they can't really hide it very well. So I guess my question is like, what do you think? Why are people different in that way, or what makes them different, or is it just like what do you think on that?
Well, I think it can be your genetic makeup.
Okay.
I think people that are, everything has a diagnosis.
Right.
They're diagnosing kids with like everything.
Right.
you know, ADHD, ADD, this DD, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, if someone has, you know, like depression, anxiety, you know, they're real things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people have clinical depression. I don't. You know,
Mhm.
I had situational depression. I had, you know, situational anxiety. But
I still like that diagnosis is like odd to me because I feel like everyone has like situational depression or situational. It's called being sad,
Yeah.
or it's called being anti. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it's something that people should be diagnosed with. Like I feel like everybody has like a form of that,
Right. I feel like it's the
or
difference
seasonal
is-
depression. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the difference is people have depression because of things that happen in their life, like depressing things,
Uh-huh.
but also other people have depression with nothing, like with a perfect life. But
Yeah,
they
I don't-
just, they're they have
yeah.
that depression. Clinical,
Yeah.
right? That's the difference. And trying to, like, I think that's the problem is like trying to tell the difference between your patient is like, is it clinical or is it like just depression?
But I'm curious to like, so like I dealt with a lot of bullshit in my life and a lot of like sad things,
Mhm.
and a lot of people would describe me as like numb nowadays. So like, did I build a tolerance for being sad, and that's why I can just like deal with it, and like, you know, I can deal with like people dying and like not getting sad about it and like stuff like that.
Do you deal with like, do you deal with it like your external? Like, do you just not show it, but it affects you inside? Or
I don't know.
Like, that's what I'm saying, because it's all
You're
different.
gonna make
Some
me
people,
cry.
I'm just saying. Like, I think because I'm the same way. I've been through some kinds of shit in
I
my
use
life.
like humor a lot, like to
Right,
deal
and
with stuff like that,
sarcasm.
and sarcasm
Right.
and
So
stuff like
maybe
that.
that's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, but I mean, is that me dealing with it, or is that me just like covering it up?
That's a question for yourself.
I guess so. But I'm just like, I'm curious. Like, can you build a like if you can build a tolerance
I
for
think
drugs?
externally,
Can you build a tolerance for like sad things and just like not be considered like you're depressed anymore? You build a tolerance for depression for so long that like you just nothing can make you fucking sad. Like you're just
Yeah.
gonna keep going.
I think externally that's true.
Yeah.
Like externally, you can get tough
Yeah.
and not show like that it affects you at all. But I
Right.
think it does mentally, like slowly. Like if you're getting better at like covering it up, I
Mhm.
think slowly, like you're just like a bomb. Like you just build it up, and then like I might not know that, hey, you were struggling that day, but inside you know you're struggling that day.
Got you.
But other people are like, you could see from the outside in
Yeah.
that they're struggling that day or whatever. And I think you just get like an external shell,
I got you.
and that's you just don't show it.
Right.
You know.
All right.
I think that's how I am
That sound-
anymore.
yeah.
'Cause sometimes I'm like, I find myself becoming more of an asshole as time goes on with the more shit I go through, and
Oh,
I'm
fuck
just like,
yeah.
I'm just like,
100%.
especially when starting hang around you. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
like
you gotta build a hard candy shell around
know.
me because I'm just gonna
Right.
keep
I
striking.
know my wife tells me all the time. She's like, well, ever since you hang out with John, you're becoming an asshole.
Fuck
like-
that bitch.
I'm like, I have to fight back, you know. So I have to learn how to be an asshole.
You can't beat them, join them.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you're telling me you're just blending in. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just what I.
So
I'm
if I
like,
start smoking crack, you're gonna come with me.
that's the sad part about. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you do like I don't mean this in a negative way, but like I do like kind of push you to like do things,
You do?
right?
I mean, I have now spent money on PCs. And,
PCs and
yeah.
like we've been like I wanted to like go to skate parks, stuff
Yeah.
like that. I got you back into that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
start this podcast.
Yeah.
You're just
I grew a beard.
I don't yeah, you grow a beard. I don't know if you're a good friend or just like a good follower. I don't know what it is.
So yeah, back to your question. A tolerance. So if somebody with diagnosed ADHD is taking methamphetamine or Adderall
Mhm.
illicitly, they could have a higher tolerance because it could have a reverse effect on them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if a
Well,
normal-
I was gonna say with that, like the chemical, again, like the way you're like chemically built up. So like when you get sick and like they try like one medicine, it doesn't work for you, but like someone could have the same sickness and it could work for them. So do you think like that's kind of the same way as drugs, where like a certain drug could get someone like a lot higher than another drug would, and then vice versa with a different person? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Just depending on how they're chemically made up inside, like.
Balance, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally, right.
Or even someone that's like grew up taking like a lot of like medicines like growing up, like they could build up a tolerance just for like medicines in general, and then like if they started using or something like that, it would take a lot more because their body's like used to like having so much outside substance inside them.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to motives as well. we spoke before.
Oh, if you want it, like how high you want to get. Yeah.
And what am I using for? Am I using to escape reality? Am I using to not feel what I'm feeling? Am I, what am I using for?
Mm-hmm. And you don't believe that there's any benefits to that, right?
As far as what?
Like, I mean, like using drugs for like escaping reality or like not feeling what you're feeling, because eventually you're gonna like tone down and you're just gonna go right back to that feeling, right? Because
well, there are some people that are experimenting with DMT and things like that. Even people like Bill Wilson and the guy that started Alcoholics Anonymous. They said he could have had his spiritual awakening like under the influence of in a psychosis or
right.
drugs like that. So it's too easy.
Do you think that's true though? Like, do you think that's a real thing, or do you think it's like brain damage?
Right, wet brain.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like, because I mean, people are like, oh, I had a spiritual awakening, I'm a different person now. Like, no, like you could have just like really fucked up something in your brain from doing that drug, and now you feel different. Like, sure, but I mean, I guess if it's not gonna cause you to die, I guess it's a fix. But it's kind of just like a hack. I don't know. It's just
I don't believe in drug-induced spiritual experiences.
Right. Yeah.
Like even DMT drug induced.
Not for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
That stuff's crazy. Like I hear some people talk about that DMT, which is like the chemical or something that your brain releases before you die or something, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like so something like that. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I heard it's pretty crazy.
I mean, I took I took ecstasy and
I tried ecstasy once.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was like 13.
Where was this?
Crazy?
When I was living with my grandfather, and this was back when Ray D was still alive, and he had like a whole thing of like a whole baggie of ecstasy or whatever, and like I took a half of one, right? And I sat there, and I played Spitfire, or not Spitfire. What's that dirt bike game we were talking about? Freestyle.
Yeah.
I sat there and played Freestyle for like 4 fucking hours, just tripping.
Really? Now, is ecstasy a pill or is it like a dissolve?
It's a pill.
It is?
Yeah.
And what was your experience?
Yeah. Do you remember it? I mean, that was 40 years
I mean,
ago.
I was super happy. And then I think my brother I told my brother about it, and I told Ray about it. He's like that puts like black spots on your brain, dude. I was like, oh, okay. And I never took it again.
That scare you?
Out of fear or?
Yeah, I mean, probably. More or less, yeah, out of fear. I don't know what the fuck keeps going on with the camera. It keeps shutting off.
What the hell, dude?
Audio?
No, the camera.
No,
The audio is
still
fine.
good. But so you said did you say how old you were when you kind of started getting into it?
So I smoked pot and drank and took Percocet and things like that when I was I probably started at 12.
Okay.
It didn't really progress. I mean, consequences came early for me with the legal system.
Right.
Just like drug addiction is progressive, so is crime.
Mm-hmm.
So my thrill started when I would play Knock Knock Zoom Zoom.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if we know what that is.
I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I know what that. Hey, you don't know what Knock Knock Zoom Zoom?
No, what is it?
Ding. What is it?
Ding Dong Ditch.
Oh,
Ding
I
Dong
know what
Ditch?
it is.
Okay, yeah.
I know.
Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Is that what you call it in Philly? Like-
yeah, Knock Knock Zoom Zoom. Yeah.
So that was a thrill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a thrill for me that some people that was enough for, but it was
Right.
not enough for me. So I progressed into doing things that would hurt other people. There was a lot of bums in Philadelphia and hookers, and I got thrill out of beating them up, out of causing physical pain to
Yeah.
them, and maybe not even me, but the guy I was.
I didn't
with
see
did.
him going that way.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It went south.
Yeah, it was real south. I was expecting like breaking in the cars or something like that, but no, you went real bad.
Yeah,
like-
that's bad.
What?
It gets more. Wait, there's more.
Okay,
That's pretty
yeah, I
bad.
mean it's pretty fucking bad.
So yeah.
I don't know if you saw the news of those 2 guys that beat the shit out of that guy outside that bar.
Oh, the old guy, right?
Yeah, the old guy
I saw
put him
that.
in the
That was
hospital.
a friend of mine's father.
Yeah, I seen it on Facebook. He was apparently I'm friends with him too, but yeah, it's fucked
No,
up.
went to school with one of the kids who did it.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But
So,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, I never got that bad. It was just.
I mean,
it
you
was
just
fun.
said you did though.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun to like punch somebody in the face,
Okay.
because we got a kick out of it.
Yeah.
And
When you say we, like, was there like a group of friends? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
guys
okay.
I hung out with.
Okay.
And even like I was not courageous enough to, because now like I would never sit idly by and watch somebody. Hurt,
somebody,
hurt
let
another
somebody
person.
hurt somebody else,
Right.
right? Yeah.
but I didn't have a voice. You know, I wasn't able to stand up for what was right. I don't know if that's out of fear or like.
Was it so was it something that like you grew into like and you like decided you want to try doing, or was it like your friends were doing it?
It was never my idea.
It was never your
Right,
idea, right? Okay,
right.
okay.
Now it progressed into, so I was 13 years old, and they gave me this key that opened the door and started the ignition to any Toyota Camry year 1989 to 1993.
Mm-hmm.
I was 13 years old stealing cars.
Right.
That thrill, that rush,
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
I mean, if you were gonna do it, I mean, doing it at that age is better than doing it after you turn 18.
I did it then too. So I was 14 years old, and you think this would have been the oh shit moment, like, you know, kid, you got to get it together. So I stole this guy's car, get arrested. I'm in front in Westmoreland, the 24th Police District, in Philadelphia, and I'm like 13 or 14, and I'm in the cell, and I go out to the door, and I look at the chart, and it's got my charges listed up there, and it says homicide, home invasion. Like, are you kidding me? I'm 14 years old. Like,
Yeah.
what? And come to find out, the guy's car that we stole was dead inside of his house.
Oh my
No
God.
way.
So,
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just a shitty
so they
coincidence.
thought we,
That was
Killed
you?
him and
Yeah.
took his car. Yeah.
That's crazy.
and that was not enough to stop me.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, I mean, that's it definitely should be enough to scare
Well, I
you.
had parents. I had a mother and a father that my father, God rest his soul, he was probably my biggest enabler.
Okay.
You know, because he had brothers that suffered from addiction. He had,
Right.
he didn't suffer with it. We owned a bar in Philadelphia. You know,
Yeah.
I was raised in a bar. But once it started to affect my father's marriage, he stopped.
Mhm.
He stopped drinking, and he was able to do that. And so he didn't understand about addiction. So anytime I got in trouble, he would bail me out.
Yeah.
So I never really faced, severe consequences
Right. Yeah.
because he would bail me out. And
You kind of thought like you'd always have that.
right,
Yeah.
my uncle was a Philadelphia cop.
Mm-hmm.
I thought. So yeah, just it progressed into a strong arm robbery.
Yeah.
Me and my brother got arrested at 16 for a strong arm robbery, and again, I didn't really have consequences because my parents bailed me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a good thing. Like me growing up, like with my parents dying, like at a not like a super early age, but like a later age, like 22. Like both my parents were gone, so like I had no like, canopy to save me. Like anything I did, like I was dealing with on my own. I had family, but any choices that I would make, like I knew like there was no one here to help me. So like I don't know if like you always having that safety net just made you feel like
Well,
you could do anything.
I
Yeah.
couldn't find my own bottom.
Right.
I needed to hit a bottom.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find that bottom with my father picking it up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So as my addiction progressed, right, I'm taking ecstasy, I'm taking Molly, I'm taking them together.
Okay.
If you didn't try that,
No,
that's-
that
was a
like
good
I said,
time.
that one half pill of ecstasy.
Right.
That was all I ever tried, and I was like,
So
I'm good.
I committed a robbery, and this guy had 100 ecstasy pills and 100 capsules.
Mhm.
It was a clear dissolvable capsule with white powder inside of it.
You had no idea.
Nobody
what it was.
knew what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Were
mean,
they
now-
like homemade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a lab somewhere, in a basement. Lab sounds more sophisticated.
Yeah.
I'll go
It
with
was a
lab.
basement.
So I'm hanging out with me, my buddy, and my girlfriend. They take the ecstasy pill. They don't want to take the other thing because they don't know what it is.
Right.
Well, I mean that's just
Yeah.
smart, but go
Well,
for
it's
it.
not fun, no. So I'll find out what they are. Put 2 of them under my tongue, and
I love how you believed you would figure out what they were by taking them. Like you'd have any fucking clue.
well, what other way are you gonna figure out?
I mean, you're not gonna figure it out, but
I'm gonna.
you're not.
Did you
Like,
figure out what it was?
It was MDMA, pure
Okay.
MDMA.
Okay.
But how did you know this?
Because 20 minutes later, whoa, like everything was melting. So long story short, my friend and this girlfriend, again, because after like my heart got broke
Mhm.
by that first relationship I had when I was a child, I put a wall up. I was
Right,
not going to
yeah.
let any female in. And I love the saying, hurt people,
Yeah.
because like I was hurting people by just fear of not letting anyone in. So I
Mhm.
had this girl that she didn't mean shit to me,
Right.
but her and my friend, took the ecstasy, and I'm over here freaked out because I took the other stuff. And so he pulls me to the side and he's like, you know, hey, she keeps giving me hints that she wants to fool around with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
You can have sex with her on my bed.
Prime time to ask you, by the way. Like,
So I remember leaving my room and stopping at my dresser, pulling out a condom and say, well, just make sure you use the condom. You know,
'Cause I
20
can't
minutes
right now.
later, I'm sitting out in the hallway on the floor just looking at everything melting, and I'm like, oh, frig this. Like, I want to go back in my room. The strobe lights are in there, the music.
uh-huh.
So I went back in there. I was like, guys, listen, I don't mean to intrude, but like, I want to be in my room. I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
the strobe lights. These are messing up my high. So, yeah, we just kind of enjoyed the rest of the night together as three. And yeah, it was a good time.
You're a good friend.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
So it's funny because when I was 11, like I said, my sister went in for a partial hysterectomy. The doctors forgot to tie main blood vessel, and she bled to death.
Right.
At 24 years old, and that's when I became numb, cold to the streets, cold to just anything, and I was seeking relief, and I found it. And so when I moved to I ended up catching another stolen car case in Philadelphia. I stayed there. I lived with my Uncle Ralph. My parents had moved to Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
I could not leave this girl. Remember that same girl? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's back. I'm still with her. I could not leave her because I could not breathe without her.
Right.
So I stayed down there and ended up catching another criminal charge. So the judge says, well, you go to Scranton with your family or you go to jail. It really wasn't that hard of a choice
No.
to make. So I came to Scranton, Pennsylvania. I don't know how many people you've been around from Philadelphia.
Me?
Yeah.
Handful.
Like me.
Right.
No, I know a couple other people, but
Okay.
not like I'm not as close with them as I am with him.
So when we're just coming from Philadelphia, the only there were two words in my vocabulary,
John.
John and bull.
Okay, I know what John is, but I don't know what bull
Bull,
is.
it's boy.
It's boy.
Okay.
But it's
Listen.
B-O-L
Yeah,
for some reason.
B-O-U-L. So I'm coming to Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm going to this high school. Like I said, I went to Mastbaum Votech in Philadelphia. I was one of 5 white
Holler.
kids in the school. And, you know, I'm in Scranton School District, Scranton High School, where I walk in. I'm like, all right, where's the metal detector? And they're like, there's no metal detector. It's the year 2002. There's no metal detector. There's a brand new in-ground pool right there. You know, a brand new state-of-the-art gym that you can use. But no, there's no metal detector. So now I'm alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have no friends. So I go up and speak to Timothy. I said, what's up, Timothy? We're going to grab this joint after school. We're going to go stop at the Bulls crib and grab this joint, and then we're going to meet up at the John. And Timothy looks at me. What?
Gibberish.
Gibberish.
So how did I get Timothy to like me? Timothy, I sell weed. Timothy liked me,
Yeah.
because I sold weed, and that's how I got friends.
Yeah.
So I met this kid that I was telling you about that had sex with my girlfriend. We were inseparable. We were best friends, and coming from Philadelphia, you don't use that word.
Yeah.
So we
What,
were
friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the F word.
Yeah, yeah.
So we became inseparable. Me and this guy. He taught me, and it's unfortunate, but I taught him the streets, and he taught me how to survive in this town or this world, whatever you want to call it. So we just time check me too.
You're good. You're good.
Right, so he was my best friend.
Mhm.
We didn't we were always together, and so now I'm in 2005. We're hanging out at my girlfriend's house. He took some Xanax, some blue Xanax, and I'm sniffing cocaine. We can say cocaine online.
You can say whatever you
Yeah.
want. They can't shut us down.
So, I'm sniffing cocaine, and I'm up and I'm partying with the girls, and I call a girl over for him. He wanted to hang out with this girl, but, Xanax is a downer.
Right.
Right.
So he's on a downer. He wants to be up.
Yeah.
Now, I've mixed before.
Mhm.
I've taken 10 Xanax and sniffed 2 grams of coke. I hope my employers don't see this podcast. Golly. So he wants to get up.
They can't judge you on your past. It's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. And again, my past is my greatest asset.
Right.
Right.
So back in the day, we used to put cocaine on CD cases.
Mm-hmm.
that's just how they did it. I don't know.
I mean, back in the day, I remember seeing weed on CD cases,
Yeah,
but like
same.
this is
But
way.
it progresses.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
Until I found like I had a single snorter that like you fill it with cocaine and then you just dump it and spin it. And it was phenomenal.
Technology,
Quite
baby.
clean.
So I put this CD case with this line of coke on it,
Mm.
and this is my best friend, and he just wants to wake up, right?
Right.
He wants to have fun with this girl. So I'm holding the CD case up to his face with the line of coke on it, and he can't even really find it because he's dipped out on these Xanax. So he ends up sniffing it, and he goes to sleep because the Xanax overpower the cocaine,
Cocaine or whatever.
And, so he goes to sleep, and I'm smacking him. I'm trying to wake him up, but my girl's like, "Oh, just leave him go. He's tired." So hindsight, man, is 2020. They say.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on hindsight, so 3 weeks earlier, that girl in Philadelphia, she's still in the picture. Like the judge kicked me out of Philadelphia. He told me
Yeah.
you can't go back there for 2 years. I'm like, "Oh, you're not going to catch me back here."
Yeah.
So I went back, and I was with her 2 weeks prior to this incident, and we were sniffing cocaine, and we were on, Percocet downers too. And I was trying to go to sleep, and she would not let me.
All right.
Thank God for this girl. She would not let me go to sleep. She said, "You cannot go to sleep on cocaine." So she would not let me go to sleep. And fast forward a couple of weeks later, my friend is trying to go to sleep.
You get talking and let them go to sleep.
I get talked into letting him go to sleep. And 8 hours later, after the night's over, I get up 9, 10 in the morning because I'm trying to maintain employment. So I'm a cart boy at Price Right Shopping Center on Luzerne Street. That was my claim to fame. As a 17-year-old kid, that was my job.
Yeah.
I was a damn good cart boy, though, bro. Like, I used to,
It's rough there. I mean,
Yeah.
that hill's not a joke.
and they have the things now that you put the carts in.
They
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
used to have
They
them.
didn't have that.
No,
back
you
in
used to
my
take them all the way up to the
Right.
front. Uh-huh.
So that hill, like you said,
Yeah,
I'd
that
be
hill.
running down the hill, like catching to stop it from hitting an old lady's car.
Yep.
So it's raining. It's June 9th, 2005. It's raining. I got to get up and go to work. My friend's still sleeping.
Mhm.
He's snoring like a baby.
Yeah.
Snoring,
Yeah.
sleeping.
Mhm.
Looked so peaceful. I got to go to work. I told my girl I have to go to work.
Mhm.
3 hours later, she comes to my job, jumps out of the car, hysterically crying, says, "Swing is dead." What do you mean he's dead? He was just snoring when I left your house. So yeah, he was dead. And I remember leaving my job, running to her house, seeing the ambulance there, seeing the coroner, seeing them take his body out. And I run. I'm a runner. I run from everything
Right.
painful, everything. I just run.
Yeah.
So I remember running, and that is where my addiction progressed.
Which is crazy because that didn't stop you.
Right.
Right. Like seeing your best friend like die, knowing like it had to do with drugs, and you like that didn't stop you.
That's when I started intravenously using heroin.
Right. Which is like insane because like not only did it stop you, it progressed you,
Yeah.
which is just like crazy.
Because the pain was greater, so I
Right.
needed something greater to stop the pain.
the pain, right? But you didn't like in your head like you needed to stop the pain, but you weren't thinking about what caused the pain, which was the same thing that you're using to stop the pain.
But now with you, like when you were using like that, did you care if it killed you? At that, like after all that shit happened.
It's funny. So I come from a good family, man. My mother and father were damn good people. My sister, my brother, they're good people. A bit crazy. I'm lying when I say good people.
No.
They're decent people. Yeah. They have their moments.
So what was the question?
Did you care about dying?
Yeah, like when after seeing your boy die and all that shit.
Like when you progressed the drugs,
'cause
like,
you said-
did you care about?
Because you progressed even after one of your best friends died, so you progressed to deal with the pain, but the consequence is death. Were you afraid? Did you care?
I did not believe I
Or-
could die.
Yeah, like were you
Yeah.
just like
this was pre-fentanyl days. Everything
Right.
now is fentanyl, fentanyl.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just so it was
not that fucking matters because anything back then could have killed you just
Right.
as easily.
right.
But, yeah.
So couple weeks after my friend passes away, my father, God rest his soul, he walks in to his house. I'm in his bathroom and I'm intravenously using heroin in his bathroom, and I can still visually, 18 years later, see the look on his face when he sees his baby. Like, I'm the baby, I'm the youngest. When he sees his baby shooting up heroin in his
Right.
bathroom. So he didn't judge me, but he was hurt. You know, I can only imagine the hurt that he felt. You know,
Right.
as parents, as family members, it's hard to be a family member of a person with addiction.
Yeah.
He could have internalized it. You know, where did I go wrong? What
Right.
did I
Yeah.
do wrong? And in fact, it mattered nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he tried his best to provide an amazing life for me. So he sees me using this heroin, and without a question asked, he pays cash money to get me into a rehab.
Right.
This is my first time finding rehab. Valley Forge Medical Center out by
Did you go
Philadelphia.
willingly?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I don't know about willingly, but seeing
Right.
that look on my father's face, a man that I feel is the best man to ever walk the face of the
Mhm.
earth, asking me to go,
You
yeah,
Yeah.
felt like you owed it to him. Yeah.
I'm going to go. So I get down there. Remember before we discussed the ego.
Mhm.
So I get down there. I'm probably 160 pounds. Clearly, I hope the camera doesn't put on weight, but like I'm clearly not 160 no more. Yeah?
Yeah. Take a look in the camera. Yeah, maybe a little.
So I get to this rehab, right? And I'm sitting in here and I'm looking at all these other people, and I have a pretty bad habit. You know, I have a pretty bad habit. And I'm looking at all these other people, and I'm like, man, I'm nothing like you people.
Yeah. Like
I'm nothing like you people. You people are bad.
Yeah.
You people are like degenerate. You people are lower than me.
Mhm.
You people are less than me. So 3 days goes by. I call my father and convince him that I'm better.
Mhm.
Dad, come pick me up. I'm better. That's all I needed. I'm better.
Yeah.
You know, come get me. I need to be home. I was homesick. I was alone. I
Right.
was afraid. I was so afraid. So he comes and picks me up. 2 weeks later, I get indicted on charges for selling narcotics. So, shit.
Yeah.
That runs over, and now I'm, you know, facing these charges of possession with intent to deliver. My sister bails me out of prison. Oh, you have to get me out, you know. And this is my addiction talking. I don't even know. Like, I need to be out
Mm-hmm.
to get things in order. And I get out, and I'm fighting this case, and I just can't stop using. I can't stop using. 3 weeks later, my bail gets revoked for giving a hot urine. So now I'm sitting. I have no bail. I have nothing to get me out of prison. So I improvise. I was very good at prison. I can put a mask on and I can become whoever I need to be.
To get whatever you want.
Yeah, I was good at prison.
Mhm.
You know, it sounds crazy, but I was good at it. I enjoyed playing cards, playing this, doing that. I was good at it. So as I'm fighting these charges, this is now 2006. I'm in the holding cell. This detective comes in to speak to me. He says, Mr. Beck, did you give Colin the drugs that killed him? That is my friend that overdosed
Yeah.
8 months prior.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I said, are you kidding me? Like, out of nowhere this comes. And
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously I said no, because that's something I dealt with. That's something I carried.
Right.
Yeah.
You,
I felt
you gotta,
responsible.
you gotta have that
Yeah.
like in the back of your head at least. That
I
you-
felt responsible for
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I didn't get charged with that, but I ended up getting a prison sentence at the age of 18. I ended up going to prison for 4 years.
For that? For the death
For,
of
no,
Colin?
no,
for
for
the narcotics.
Oh, the narcotics.
yeah,
Okay.
for the initial charge. And I was
Was there anything like after that about the death of your friend, or was that just
no,
like the one time that it was like randomly brought up to you?
yeah,
It's crazy.
I know.
I
It's
don't mean
weird
to
how,
interrupt. Did you say what time did you say you have to go? Does it matter?
No.
6:39.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you weren't
Yeah.
looking at the
We
time.
got about like 10, 15 minutes left anyway. So
So yeah, I go to prison, and I don't understand my condition. Right, I have a condition.
yeah.
You know, I don't understand that I'm a sick person. I'm not a bad person. People with addiction.
Were you able to find drugs in prison?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know like if like prison. So like the rehab and like initially going to prison, stuff like that. Like it obviously would take you a little bit to find drugs or whatever. Did you like detox from anything? Like did you have any like moments of detoxing, and like how bad, like how was that for
It
you?
was bad.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a bowel movement for almost 3 months,
Okay.
probably because opiates like
Mhm.
constrict your bowels, and
Yeah,
so it was bad.
I can imagine.
You know, it was. But after I came off of the drugs, I felt this sense of freedom. How about that? I was in prison and I had freedom.
Yeah.
I had freedom from this obsession and compulsion to use.
Yeah.
And I go to state prison, and my first cellmate in Graterford, his nickname was Chainsaw. Yeah, he had double life plus 16 years.
Okay.
And they put me in the
I-
cell
I'm
with
gonna-
this man.
I'm
Crazy.
gonna take a wild guess of what he was in for, but
Yeah.
And
allegedly. Okay.
so right away, I broke my razor and melted it into my toothbrush
Oh yeah.
to defend myself. And I
Yeah.
come in from yard, and there's a cupcake sitting on my pillow. You hear the stories like, don't touch the cupcake.
Yeah.
And so I ate the cupcake.
Oh no.
And no, I came to find out he was one of the most humble guys I met
Really
up there.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like I don't know, like it could go either way, right? With people that are there for life, like they could either like they have nothing to lose, or like they have nothing better to do than just to be like a good person. I don't know. It could definitely go either way, I guess.
So yeah, I did that time. I wanted to make parole.
Yeah.
Right, I was
Yeah.
19, 20. Like I got
Yeah.
my GED in state prison. I got my GED. But I ended up getting into some trouble. So I don't understand my condition. I'm 21. I turned 21 in prison.
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you turn 21?
Drink.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get drunk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I made some toilet bowl wine in my cell, and I got pretty drunk, and ended up going to the hole for a very long time. I almost did 16 months in solitary confinement, and so there's no parole for me. I come home 22 years old, no parole, no probation, no legal oversight of any sort.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to enjoy life now.
Mhm.
I'm going to get back to the way things were. I'm going to smoke pot. I'm going to drink. And that lasted for a little while.
Right.
So I met this woman that I'm with now, and I met her in Jersey, and I just knew she was the one, so I moved her up here. And she didn't understand the, whatever you want to call it, the dark side of me, the person that I can become.
Right. Because you were like fresh.
Right.
Like, yeah. You
Yeah,
know.
I was pure. I was
Yeah.
healthy. I was,
Yeah.
So I get this girl, and it only lasts for a while until my addiction progresses again, and I'm back to so I live at an animalistic level when I use drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that guy that can go to work, that can sustain any type of normalcy.
You're not a functioning
Yeah.
No.
like drug addict. Yeah.
No. So 2015, I go back to rehab. Now I'm looking at these people, and guess what's back?
Oh, I'm better than you.
My ego.
Yeah.
No. You people don't understand the levels that I want to. You people are so much better than me.
Hmm.
You just can't relate to the pain I experienced. The ego. The ego is not the flashy guy that makes it, wants people to think he's better than him. The ego is also the guy that feels less than.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I was less than these people, and they couldn't fathom the pain that I went through. So I didn't successfully complete.
Rehab
Right.
for the second time.
So now I got this girl, and I'm thinking, okay, if I move, that'll be the answer. If I move, I ended up moving to Bowles, Arkansas.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not too far.
Well, also, like, you're speaking of this. I know someone from Arkansas, and like in my head, Arkansas is dead and boring, and there's no way there's drugs like manifesting out there. There's no way there's huge drug.
Why
like,
not? Because when it's dead and boring, what else is there to do?
Yeah, but it just in my head, like that's how I have always thought. But I know this girl who lives out in Arkansas, and she came up here to get tattooed from me, and she told me like how crazy it is down there. And I'm just like, it's fucking Arkansas. Like,
Yeah, but when you're bored, what do you do?
not drugs.
Yeah, that's the only thing to do.
No.
We play bingo.
Yeah.
You play- yeah.
Fucking watch the hay balls roll. Like,
Right. No, it was so the geographic change did not work for me,
right.
because like wherever Joey Beck goes, he takes himself with him.
Yeah.
Right.
So even if whatever you want to say, my drug of choice, like heroin, opiates, whatever you want to say, I found what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it being another person, whether it being a female, whether it being some sort of maladaptive behavior.
Yeah.
I found it. So ended up getting arrested in Arkansas. You know, did 47 days in an Oklahoma jail that was petrifying.
Worse than up here?
A lot worse than
Really?
Graterford and Camp Hill.
Yeah.
So yeah, Arkansas's not working. I get arrested. I got to leave there. I come back and you know, I found my pathway to recovery with spirituality.
Okay.
So I don't want to bring doom and gloom on your podcast, but
I appreciate that.
for me it was spirituality.
Okay.
I needed to find a God of my own understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what helped me.
It's good. We should have probably started with all this sadness and then end it with all the positivity.
Well, it's not sadness.
Well, I mean, to the listener, maybe it's not sadness, but like, you know what I mean? Like, end on a positive note of like what you did, what we started with that.
Well, they told me coming in recovery, I would have a life beyond my wildest dreams.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm going to have a Lamborghini, right? A mansion.
Mm.
No, that's not what they were talking about.
No.
I walked my 5-year-old daughter to kindergarten for her first day of school.
Right.
That's a life beyond my wildest dreams.
Right.
You know, I got married since getting sober.
Mhm.
I bought a house.
Sorry to
since
hear
getting
that.
Sober, I know. I bought a house since getting sober.
Right.
I am now a drug and alcohol counselor. I went back to school
Mhm.
and got some certifications. And,
Yeah.
and I believe in helping someone that
I like how he
struggles.
turned it around to the positive notes.
Right,
Good job.
Good question.
Yeah,
I'm
I
answering
know.
questions
Yeah,
now.
I appreciate it.
So I'd like to be available
Yeah.
for the person that may be struggling, may not
Yeah.
know a way out.
Now let me ask you this one last question. So what you're doing, did you have someone that did this for you?
Yes.
You did. Okay. There was someone that helped
Yeah,
you
there was
through
a gentleman,
Okay.
a dear friend of mine. He would answer the phone
day and night.
day and night.
Yeah.
You know, and I would call him after I used,
Yeah.
and he'd say, "Well, you know, you probably should have called me before."
Before you
used," you know, but he laid this pathway. It worked for him. He laid it in front of me, and
Obviously it worked for you.
right, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working
For
for you.
me,
Yeah.
you know, I have a daily reprieve, and
Yeah.
so at the core of my addiction is selfishness and self-centeredness.
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking about you, I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
Because
Now let me ask you this. Do you think there'll ever be a time where you don't look like you're not gonna say, oh, I'm 10 years sober, I'm 20 years sober? Will you just be like, do you think that'll ever end, or will you always need to follow the steps that you're following?
you know, that's a good question, because I surround myself with people that are liberated, and
Right.
I don't identify everywhere I go as an alcoholic or
Okay.
as a drug addict. That's
Right.
not who I am.
Right.
I'm Joey. I'm a father. I'm a
Y- y-
husband.
right,
I'm a
your other
son, I'm a
things.
friend. That's
Yeah.
not who I am.
But some people, it's almost like their niche. Like they have to present themselves as that because they feel like they don't offer anything else to the table.
Yeah, I have recovered.
Right. That's what I mean. Like,
From a
it's like,
hopelessly
at what point do you stop being in recovery and start being recovered? You know what I mean?
Right.
Is that is there after you complete your steps kind of thing, or
No.
No?
So it's a daily reprieve.
it's just like something that clicks in your head that
Right.
oh, I'm not recovering anymore. I'm recovered.
Right. From a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body.
Right.
I have recovered from that.
Right.
And now, I mean, I don't rest on my own laurels. I still practice principles. I still
Right.
I
Yeah.
still go to meetings. I don't go to as many as I used to.
Yeah. But it's more of you're there more as a support than for yourself.
Right.
And I'm sure you
because-
can being there also helps keep
Of
you
course.
going and
of
stuff
course.
like that.
Yeah. Even working in the field, it
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
keep it
Yeah,
green for
seeing-
me. And,
yeah.
and, you know,
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate your
Yeah.
story.
thank you guys.
If we could leave off with some
Inspirational.
some inspirational stuff. If there's people struggling out there right now, what do you and they're looking for help but don't know how to begin, or they have those questions that they did not project outside their heads. Do you have any kind of information on how to start or what to do or who to contact or anything like that?
Well, you can call me. I can leave my number.
Okay. I'm not gonna put your number
Yeah.
up there, but go.
Do you have any kind of social media
Yeah,
or
Joey
like
Beck.
email?
I'm on
or-
Facebook. I use
Okay.
my Facebook as a platform for
I would,
Okay.
recovery.
So
for
we'll definitely put
positivity.
that.
Yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah.
tag that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just get honest with someone.
Okay.
And the first person you got to get honest with is yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and know that, like, you deserve recovery.
Right.
You know, like people deserve recovery. Again,
Yeah.
these are not bad people. These are sick people trying to get better. They're not bad people trying to get better.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on.
I do appreciate it too.
Sorry for being late and taking up all your time and you missing some of that basketball game.
We'll have to do this again. Do another episode because this is probably one of my favorite episodes so far.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
See, now
100%.
that feeds my ego.
Yeah.
Does it in a positive or negative way?
Positive.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we can get someone else on though. That's not Joey.
Yeah, I know some good friends that have good stories. Of
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Because it needs to be talked about more.
Right.
know,
Yeah,
it's-
we
it's,
definitely agree here, and I'd like to hear other people's perspective and how they manage to get through and stuff like that.
We'll have to get another headset and mic set up so we can do a four piece.
4-piece, yeah.
Because I also have a very close friend that was like down in Kensington, like that whole really bad scene, and he's doing really well now. He got married, and so it'd be cool to have like the two of you guys on too, like to just kind of talk back and forth. And I think these make for great episodes because they're not only interesting but they're helpful.
Right.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys having me on, and I appreciate what you are doing.
Thank
For
you.
sure.
All right, so we'll catch everybody next
Yeah.
time. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button.
Yep.
If you are looking for help, please
We'll have the link.
we'll have the link for Joey's Facebook in that, and if you can find help other places, definitely look for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't suffer in silence.
Yep.
Right. All right. See you guys.
Well, later, guys.
Later. Can we get music?
Yeah.
Well, we always have the outro,